What's up, guys? Welcome back to the basics of ethical hacking. We are now 3 episodes into our series of ethical hacking for beginners, where we try to explain in the most simplest of terms the different definitions and techniques used within the world of hacking. If you guys haven't followed through episode 1 and 2, I'd recommend to go back to in this video, we're finally going to be covering the basics of Linux commands, not Kali Linux, but Linux in general. We're going to be covering how we're going to be maneuvering and how we're going to be using the Linux terminal in order for us to familiarize ourselves with what we're going to be using 80% of the time, using future tools through the terminal. We're going to be using the different commands that we're going to be needing in order to just go around the Linux CLI in this case, and to just really familiarize ourselves with using command line interfaces. We're going to be opening up the Kali Linux machine that we installed in VirtualBox. Again, if you haven't watched that or you don't know where to start yet, head back to episode 2. If you haven't watched episode 2, head back to episode 1. Let's just get into our computer here. Let's start with our first command, right? Our first command is pwd. So pwd stands for present working directory. It shows us the whole directory or path that we're going to be currently working in, or that we are currently located in. Pwd is a useful command in order for us to navigate and to know where we are within our Kali Linux system. Okay, so our next command here now is ls. So what ls does, it just lists down the number of files or directories found within the current folder that we're in. So example, as pwd, we're in the root directory. So in this root directory, what are the different files and directories available? Take note when I say directories, especially for Windows users, what I'm actually talking about here, directories are what we would know as folders within a graphical user interface such as Windows. Alright, so take note, when we're using graphical user interfaces, the containers that we know as folders, the physical folders that we are able to click on, or the icon folder that we're able to click on, are what we would call directories within a CLI or a command line interface. So whenever I'm saying directory, I'm just referring to a folder in order for you not to be confused about that. Okay, so we are currently in the root directory, and we're now learning to list down the different files and directories here. So as you can see, based on the color of the font, I'm just gonna make this bigger for convenience. Okay, so if it's in blue, that typically means it's a directory, again, a folder or directory, but for practice, just know that it's called a directory. Okay, so now we know how to list them down. What we do now is we're gonna change our directory, and we're gonna enter into these different directories. So for example, we're gonna head to the CD pictures directory. Alright, so doing that, we are now in the pictures directory. I'm gonna hit ls, and as you can see, there's only, in my case, I only have one photo here. Alright, so this is all the files containing within my pictures directory. Okay, so now what we do to head back one directory up, or up one parent directory, cd dot dot, and we're gonna find ourselves back here. Okay, and we're gonna hit ls again. So that's how we basically change directories and how we can move up one directory. Another thing that we can actually learn, since we're the root user, is the home directory. Okay, so for example, we are gonna head to the downloads folder. This is just for an example, okay? Example, we're in multiple directories right now. You don't have to follow through. I'm just showing this as an example. Okay, so right now I'm going to type pwd, and I want to go back to the root. And as we just learned, we can do that by typing on cd dot dot and then cd dot dot and pwd again. We're now back in the root. But as you can see, we have to multiple times type down the cd dot dot command. So for example, let's head back down there. I just want to head straight back to root. We just type in cd tilde, and it typically does the same thing. It's a shortcut. Okay, it's easier. All right, next is the how to access the overall root directory, the main directory, as you would say. Here we're just going to type cd / and we're going to be outside into our main directory, so we're going to be able to access the different files such as the user and the boot directory. All these are accessible. Just be careful when accessing them whenever we're going to be using tools in the future or opening different files. So whenever we say the root directory, it's going to be in cd / okay. Now we're going to head back to our home directory, which is now here in the root. All right, now that we learned the different commands to find out what our current working directory is, how to list down the different files and directories within each directory, how we're going to be changing the directory in order to access the different files within them, okay, and how we're going to be navigating out and using the different shortcuts, cd, tilde, etc. Okay, also take note, you can type in clear to make sure to just clear up all the clutter that's happening around. Okay, we can also use for example, we typed in multiple stuff and we want to get rid of them. We can type in clear, or we can also use the keyboard command Control L, which typically does the same thing. Okay, so now we're going to be learning how to make directories, remove them, how to make files, and how to delete files as well. All right, so for example, let's just head down to our pictures directory, cd pictures. Oh, you can one thing is you can type down part of the name, just hit the tab for autofill up, and just makes it easier so we don't have to type the whole thing. It's a useful trick that we can learn, especially if the directory or the file name that we're trying to type is really long. So that's just a useful tip. Okay, so now we're in the pictures directory. If you type ls, mine, I have a picture there. Yours will most likely not have anything. Okay, but just for practice, we now want to make a directory or a folder. We now want to make a directory, and let's just name it directory 1. All right, we're gonna hit ls, and as you can see in the blue font, we now have a directory 1. We can now cd into that, and as you can see, it's empty. Okay, we're gonna cd just one directory back up. So we're still in the pictures directory. Now we want to delete directory 1. So in order to delete directory 1, we use rmdir for remove directory. As you can notice, there's a lot of acronyms used in the Linux basic terminal commands. That's to make it helpful for us to remember these commands, since they're relatively close to their direct English equivalent. Okay, so rmdir removes the directory. Okay, so let's make another one again, and we're gonna cd into that directory. Just hit tab. Okay, let's clear this up. Now we want to make a file, so we're going to be using the touch command. What touch does is it generates files. Okay, so for example, we want to generate a cat. Okay, just name it turkey. Okay, turkey.txt. Now if we hit ls, you can see turkey.txt pops up, and we want to check what the contents of turkey.txt are. Now there's one way to do it, which we're going to use the cat command, which means concatenate, and we're going to cat that, and we can see there's nothing in the turkey.txt. There's no text in it whatsoever. So how do we add text into it? While using the CLI. We're not going to be we're not just going to be using our mouse pointer, head there to where we put it, the pictures, clicking the pictures, directory 1, and we're going to be opening it up with a text editor. That's one way to do it, but how do we do it here in the CLI? All right, so now I'm going to be introducing these different text editors found within the Kali Linux operating system. We have two actually that are CLI based. We have Nano and VI. Okay, and we also have two that are based off a graphical user interface application. So we're gonna start with the LeafPad and gedit in order for us to familiarize ourselves with the text editors here.